Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone. Good morning, everyone. I want you to take a second and think about the last time you misunderstood someone. Maybe a friend seemed distant and you assumed they were mad at you, only to find out later they were just exhausted. Or maybe you sent a text, got no reply, and immediately spiraled into, oh no, they hate me now. We've all been there, right? Now, imagine if you had the ability to actually read minds, to truly understand what's going on in someone else's head. That would be a game changer. But let's be honest, we can't read minds. And yet, the best communicators, leaders, and friends seem to almost do it. So, what's their secret? The truth is, mind reading isn't about supernatural powers. It's about emotional intelligence, deep listening, and an openness to really see people. And today, I want to share you that can help you. One of the biggest obstacles to truly understanding others is the tendency to assume we already know what they're thinking or feeling. We do it all the time, often without realizing it. A friend cancels plans and we assume they don't want to see us. A coworker is quiet in a meeting and we assume they're upset. A text message goes unanswered and we start crafting stories in our heads about why. The problem with assumptions is that they are rarely based on reality. They're based on our own fears, insecurities, and past experiences. When we assume, we stop being curious. We close the door on the possibility that something else might be going on, something we haven't even considered. And worse, we often react to our assumptions as if they were facts. We withdraw, get defensive, or feel hurt, all without ever checking in to see if our story is actually true. But what if, instead of assuming, we asked? What if, instead of jumping to conclusions, we led with curiosity? Asking more means giving people the chance to tell their own stories instead of us writing it for them. It's saying, hey, I noticed you were quiet in the meeting today. Is everything okay? Instead of deciding they must be upset. It's reaching out to the friend who canceled and saying, I just want to check in. How are you doing? Instead of assuming they don't want to be around us. It's responding to silence with, I noticed, I haven't heard from you in a while. I miss our conversations. How's everything going? Rather than assuming the worst. This shift is powerful because it keeps us open. It allows for connection instead of distance. And most of the time, we realize that what we thought was about us had absolutely nothing to do with us. Our coworker wasn't upset. They were just tired. Our friend didn't cancel because they didn't want to see us. They were just overwhelmed with life. And that unread text, maybe they read it while juggling 3 other things and simply forgot to respond. The truth is, people are complex. Their thoughts and emotions aren't always obvious, and they definitely don't always align with our assumptions. When we replace assumption with curiosity, we give others the space to be fully seen and understood. And in doing so, we open ourselves up to deeper, more meaningful relationships. Ones built on truth, not just the stories we tell ourselves. We've all been in conversations where the words being spoken don't quite match the feeling in the room. Someone says, I'm fine, but their voice is tight, their eyes are downcast, and there's a hesitation before they even say the words. Or maybe they say, it's nothing, but their body language, crossed arms, a deep sigh tells a completely different story. The mistake we often make is taking words at face value instead of tuning into the deeper unspoken messages that people are sending. Language is a tool, but it's not always a precise one. People don't always have the ability or the willingness to express exactly how they feel. Sometimes they don't even fully understand what they're feeling themselves. But emotions always find a way to surface, whether through tone, body language, pauses, or the little shifts in energy that tell us there's more beneath the surface. Reading minds isn't about being a human lie detector. It's about listening beyond the words. It's about paying attention to how something is being said rather than just what is being said. When someone insists they're okay, but their voice cracks just a little at the end, that's a moment to lean in, not back away. When a friend responds with one-word answers when they're usually talkative, that's a sign that something might be weighing on them. Listening for emotion means creating space for what's unsaid. It means noticing patterns, how someone usually expresses themselves versus how they're expressing themselves now. It means trusting your intuition. When something feels off, even if you can't quite put your finger on why. It's not about pushing people to talk before they're ready, but it is about signaling that you're paying attention, that you see them, and that you care. Sometimes it's as simple as saying, you say you're fine, but I just want to check. Are you really? I'm here if you need to talk. Or I get the sense that there's something on your mind. No pressure, but I'm here if you need me. These small moments of acknowledgement let people know they don't have to hide, that their feelings matter, and that they are seen not just for what they say, but for who they are. The best listeners aren't just hearing words, they're tuning into the emotions behind them. And when we do that, we don't just hear people, we understand them. Silence can feel uncomfortable. We're wired to fill the gaps, to smooth over pauses in conversation, to jump in with solutions or reassurances the moment we sense someone struggling. It comes from a good place. Our instinct is to help, to comfort, to make things better. But sometimes the most powerful thing we can do isn't to fix, it's to hold space. Holding space means creating a safe, open environment where someone can express themselves without fear of being interrupted, judged, or rushed. It's resisting the urge to fill every silence with advice or reassurance and instead allowing the other person the time and emotional room to find their own words. It's understanding that some thoughts and feelings need space to surface, that not everything can or should be wrapped up neatly in a quick response. We've all been in moments where we needed to talk but weren't quite ready. Maybe we were trying to process a tough situation, or maybe we didn't even know how to explain what we were feeling. In those moments, nothing is more valuable than someone who is just there. Not pressuring, not pushing, but simply present. Someone who lets us stumble through our words, who sits with us in our uncertainty, who allows the conversation to unfold at its own pace. It takes real patience to hold space because it requires us to get comfortable with discomfort. It means resisting the impulse to jump in with a solution when someone shares their pain. It means trusting that silence is not empty. It's full of thought, emotion, and meaning. Instead of filling it with words, we can acknowledge it with presence. A simple, I hear you, a gentle, take your time, a reassuring, I'm here when you're ready. These small acts of stillness speak volumes. Holding space also means letting go of our need to control the outcome of a conversation. We might want someone to feel better right away, to find clarity in their confusion, to move past their sadness. But that's not our job. Our job is to create a space where they can be exactly where they are without feeling rushed to change or explain. When we do that, we give them permission to be honest, to be vulnerable, and to truly be seen. The truth is, people don't always need answers. Sometimes they just need someone who is willing to sit with them in the unknown, in the heaviness, in the messiness of real emotions. And when we can do that, when we can hold space without rushing to fill it, we offer something rare and healing, the freedom to just be. Human interactions don't happen in isolation. Every conversation, every interaction, every exchange takes place in a larger context, a room, a group, a culture, a shared experience. And yet, so often we focus only on the individual in front of us, missing the bigger picture that's shaping the way they're showing up. If we want to be better at understanding people, we need to train ourselves to read not just the person, but the entire room. Think about the last time you walked into a meeting, a gathering, or even a casual hangout and felt the energy in the space before anyone said a word. Maybe there was tension in the air, conversations felt stiff, people weren't making eye contact, and you just knew something had happened before you arrived. Or maybe the atmosphere was light and warm, people were laughing, the energy was high, and it felt easy to connect. That's because emotions aren't just carried by individuals. They ripple through spaces, group dynamics, unspoken tensions, shared moods. These things affect how people communicate, what they feel safe sharing, and how honest they're willing to be. If we focus only on one person's words without considering the energy of the room, we can miss important cues about what's really happening beneath the surface. Being honest, reading the room means paying attention to everything: body language, interactions, shifts in tone, what's being said and what isn't being said. It means noticing when someone is holding back because the environment doesn't feel safe for vulnerability. It means recognizing when one person's energy is influencing the entire group, whether that's a leader who's anxious, creating tension for everyone else, or a friend whose laughter is putting people at ease. It also means being aware of our own presence in the space. Are we adding to the tension or diffusing it? Are we creating room for others to speak, or are we taking up more space than we realize? Are we assuming that what one person is saying represents the whole group? Or are we listening for the quieter voices that might be going unheard? There's a skill to this, and it starts with observation. Before jumping into a conversation, take a moment to assess the room. Who looks comfortable? Who seems guarded? Is there a heaviness, a lightness, a sense of excitement, or something unspoken hanging in the air? Instead of just reacting to the loudest voices, pay attention to the quieter signals, the glances exchanged, the people who hesitate before speaking, the shifts in posture that signal unease. Reading the room is about emotional intelligence, but it's also about respect. It's about recognizing that people are influenced by more than just their personal thoughts and feelings. They're affected by the space they're in, the people around them, and the unseen dynamics at play. When we take the time to see not just the person, but the whole picture, we communicate better, connect deeper, and create environments where people feel truly understood. One of the biggest reasons we hesitate to read between the lines, to ask deeper questions, to check in when something feels off, is the fear of getting it wrong. We don't want to misinterpret signals. We don't want to assume someone is struggling when they're actually fine. We don't want to overstep, embarrass ourselves, or make things worse. So we hold back. We tell ourselves, if they wanted to talk about it, they would. We convince ourselves that silence means everything is okay. We avoid asking, avoid acknowledging, avoid risking the possibility that we might misread the situation. And in doing so, we sometimes miss the chance to really be there for someone who needs it. The truth is, if we want to get better at understanding people, at really seeing them, hearing them, and supporting them, we have to be willing to get it wrong. We have to be brave enough to step into uncertainty, to ask the awkward question, to risk a moment of discomfort in the pursuit of deeper connection. Because the alternative, staying silent, assuming, and missing the opportunity to truly show up for someone, is far worse. And so being brave enough to get it wrong means embracing the fact that human connection is messy. There's no perfect script, no guarantee that we'll always read people accurately. But it's not about perfection. It's about intention. It's about being willing to check in, even when we're not sure if we're right. It's about saying, I might be totally off here, but you seem a little distant. How are you? It's about asking, I don't want to assume, but I just want to check. Are you really okay? It's about showing people that even if we don't always get it exactly right, we care enough to try. Sometimes we'll misread a situation. We'll ask if someone's okay and they'll say, yeah, I'm just tired. We'll assume someone is struggling only to find out they're totally fine. And in those moments, our ego might take a little hit. We might feel a bit embarrassed, like we overstepped. But what's the worst that can happen? Someone shrugs and says, no, I'm good. At best, we were wrong. But at least they know we were paying attention. At least they know someone is watching out for them. And then there will be the other times, the times when someone isn't okay, but they weren't sure how to bring it up until we asked. The times when they were waiting for permission to open up, when they wanted to talk but didn't know how to start. The times when, because we were willing to take a risk and ask, we gave someone the chance to be seen, to be heard, to not carry something alone. This is the heart of real connection, the willingness to be vulnerable, to embrace the unknown, to be okay with a little discomfort in the name of showing up for others. We don't have to read minds perfectly. We just have to be brave enough to try. At the end of the day, the art of reading minds isn't really about knowing what someone is thinking. It's about making them feel seen, heard, and understood. It's about showing up with curiosity, empathy, and the willingness to be wrong. So let's stop assuming, let's start listening. Let's be brave enough to ask, to pause, and to truly see the people around us. That's not just the art of reading minds. It's the art of human connection. Thank you.